Claude Lefort's The Political Forms of Modern Society, 1986, is a seminal work in political theory that offers a profound exploration of modern democracy, political representation, and the symbolic underpinnings of social order. Lefort, a French philosopher closely associated with the tradition of political phenomenology, builds upon the works of thinkers such as Cornelius Castoriadis and Hannah Arendt to interrogate the structural and symbolic transformations that define modern societies. The text is both a historical and philosophical examination of how political forms evolve and how the modern democratic experience differs fundamentally from earlier forms of political life. At the heart of Lefort's analysis is the concept of the empty place of power. This idea is pivotal to understanding modern political systems. Unlike in traditional societies, where power was often seen as sacred, embodied in a monarch, or linked to divine authority, modern democracy is characterized by the absence of a fixed locus of power. Power is not a tangible object held by an individual or institution, but rather a site of contestation, negotiation, and symbolic representation. The empty place signifies that authority in a democratic society is impersonal and must continually be legitimized through participatory processes, representation, and public debate. This conceptualization challenges conventional notions of political stability by emphasizing that democratic order relies on continuous engagement rather than on the unquestioned authority of a ruler or a class. Lefort traces the emergence of this modern political form to the transformations of European society from the Enlightenment through the French Revolution. He argues that the modern conception of democracy is inseparable from the recognition of social plurality. In contrast to earlier hierarchical societies, modern societies are marked by social differentiation, the multiplicity of interests, and the acknowledgement that no single principle or group can claim an absolute right to dominate. The political sphere, therefore, becomes a space where conflicts and differences are expressed and negotiated. For Lefort, the acknowledgement of difference is not a weakness, but a defining strength of democracy. It ensures that the political system remains dynamic and capable of self-reflection. Central to Lefort's argument is the symbolic dimension of politics. Political forms, in his view, are not merely institutional arrangements, but also representations of social reality. Symbols, rituals, and practices organize collective life and make abstract political principles tangible. The empty place of power is itself a symbol that carries profound implications. It signifies both the absence of absolute authority and the possibility of popular sovereignty. The symbolic emptiness allows for the coexistence of freedom and law, enabling citizens to participate in governance without subordinating themselves to a sacred or immutable power. Lefort's insight into the symbolic nature of politics connects with the broader phenomenological tradition, which emphasizes how social realities are constructed through shared meanings and representations. Lefort's analysis also engages with the tensions inherent in democratic societies. Modern democracy, he notes, is inherently fragile because the empty place of power can create anxiety and uncertainty. The absence of a fixed center can lead to political instability or the temptation to seek authoritarian solutions that reintroduce a tangible personal locus of power. Lefort cautions against the allure of totalitarian movements, which attempt to fill this symbolic emptiness with an ideology or a single unifying authority, thereby erasing pluralism and suppressing dissent. In this sense, his work resonates with the critiques of totalitarianism offered by Hannah Arendt and others, highlighting the ways in which modern political forms can be threatened when citizens fail to embrace the inherent openness and indeterminacy of democratic structures. Another significant theme in Lefort's work is the relationship between society and politics. Lefort rejects the notion that society and politics are separate realms. Rather, he sees them as mutually constitutive. Political forms emerge from social structures and cultural practices, while social life is continuously reshaped by political developments. This perspective underscores the importance of civic engagement and public deliberation, as the vitality of democracy depends on an informed and active citizenry. Lefort's approach thus combines a structural understanding of political institutions with an attention to the subjective and participatory dimensions of social life. Lefort also explores the historical evolution of modern political forms, particularly through the lens of revolutionary transformations. He examines the French Revolution as a pivotal moment in the development of modern democracy, emphasizing its role in displacing traditional forms of authority and inaugurating a new conception of political community. The revolution exemplified the tension between the desire for social cohesion and the recognition of political pluralism. Lefort highlights how revolutionary practices, debates, and symbols laid the groundwork for modern notions of citizenship, representation, and legal equality. Yet he is careful to note that the institutionalization of these principles requires constant effort and cannot be assumed to be self-sustaining. In discussing representation, Lefort makes a critical distinction between representation as a bureaucratic or administrative mechanism and representation as a political principle. In modern democracies, representation is not simply about delegating authority, but about ensuring that diverse social interests have a voice in the political arena. The representative does not embody an unquestionable authority, but acts as a mediator in an ongoing negotiation between citizens and the state. This understanding reinforces the symbolic importance of political institutions, which function as spaces where the plurality of society is reflected and managed, rather than suppressed. Lefort's work also contributes to debates on modernity and social change. He situates his analysis within the broader context of societal transformations, noting that modern political forms are inseparable from economic, cultural, and technological developments. The differentiation of social spheres, the rise of the nation-state, and the expansion of communication networks all shape the conditions for democratic politics. Lefort's approach emphasizes that democracy is not a static achievement, but a dynamic process that must continually adapt to changing social realities. In this regard, his thought is deeply relevant for understanding contemporary challenges such as globalization, digital communication, and the proliferation of social movements. One of the most enduring contributions of the political forms of modern society is its capacity to illuminate the symbolic and institutional conditions necessary for democratic resilience. By emphasizing the empty place of power and the importance of pluralism, Lefort provides a framework for analyzing both the promise and the vulnerabilities of democracy. His work encourages scholars and citizens alike to appreciate that the stability of democratic institutions depends not on the concentration of authority, but on the ongoing negotiation of differences and the capacity of society to manage conflict constructively. In conclusion, Claude Lefort's The Political Forms of Modern Society offers a rich, multi-dimensional account of modern democracy, emphasizing the interplay between symbolism, institutional structures, and social plurality. His concept of the empty place of power provides a profound insight into the unique character of modern political authority, distinguishing democratic systems from hierarchical or authoritarian forms. Lefort's work combines historical analysis, philosophical reflection, and social theory to illuminate the challenges and possibilities inherent in contemporary political life. By foregrounding the symbolic, social, and participatory dimensions of democracy, Lefort underscores that modern political forms are both fragile and resilient, requiring continuous engagement, vigilance, and a commitment to pluralism. His insights remain highly relevant today, offering guidance for understanding the complexities of governance, representation, and civic responsibility in an increasingly interconnected and contested world.